What's up, guys? Time to show off a couple more builds. Going back over to my buddy Sean. Additional, sorry, of course I didn't have all the stuff I needed beside me. We did some first responder builds a little while back, and this is two additional. So built just the same as the last ones, but for reference point, the men's ones that we did were a 41.5 millimeter case, brushed case with 22 millimeter clasp. I'm sorry, 22 millimeter lugs. And the women's was done in a polished case, more along the lines of a 38. Now you can argue it's a little bit bigger because these crown guards that kind of come out. But if this was tapered the same, it would be a 38 with 18 millimeter lugs and a Milanese band on this. So this one's a little bit more of a prettier version of it, but what we did was we took his dial and we laser out the background so it makes everything that's not lasered look like it's raised. So we get the first responders logo, we got the brushed case. This is on a small coin bezel. This has a titanium hour and minute insert. Since there is no indices or anything on the dial itself, all you want to do is just make sure it's lined up, you know, and then everything else will help you set your time. Set of silver Moldova hands. It's got a clean crown, low profile, super low profile exhibition case back, and then this is on a brushed engineered band, and then these are custom engraved in the clasp. So you've got your down part here. We went through and engraved the inside. And then you got a little BVW on there. So the other one is done in the same style, except you have a nice polished case, small coin bezel, milled crown, that low profile exhibition case back with a little piece of, on both of them, you got a little protective cover there. The titanium insert, the Moldova hands in this. And then on this one, you've got a Milanese band. Now, with the Milanese band, what's really cool is with this, you're going to have to remove links to have it custom fit. With the Milanese band, it has an adjustment built right in. So custom engraved as well. And where is the adjuster? Is it that end? It is this end. Actually, let me mess with this first, because I have not messed with this Milanese band since last time. I want to make sure I'm actually describing it correctly on what you do. Which side is it? Do I do this on? Oh, you just do it by hand. That's why I was like, on one I had to like pop it open. So with this one, what you're going to do is you're going to put it on your wrist, and you're going to go, okay, that's way too big. In here, you are going to lift this and then slide it, fold it back down, and then see if that fits your wrist. So all you're doing is you're sliding this piece here. So pinch and then lift, and that's it. So you can loosen it up on the fly if you'd like. It's very simple. The one I had before, you had to kind of get a wedge piece in there and kind of kick it open, and I forgot the new ones that I get, you can do it by hand, which is very, very nice. So you can make your custom adjustments there. Now on the engineered one, you're going to have markers in here that says to hit that down, right? So what you'll notice though is you're going to go into this recessed side, use a little punch, and then tap it down. It's going to pop out the other end. You're going to go down a couple lengths. You're going to do it as well. Combine that together and then feed it back through the same way. So the tapered end will go in first, and then you would tap it down into where this side is flush. You'll notice that when you tap this side out, it's the opposite over here. You tap that side down. So, and you'll make it flush. So sometimes it looks like it's got a little line on it, but that's just where the metal is folded over on itself. to where one side is, you know, comes to a point. But that's how you'll adjust that one. Plus, you're going to have some micro adjustments right here in the clasp. So after you do it, if you're like, it needs to be just a little bit tighter, you get a little spring bar in here, and you can walk this connection over. If you just push this down, you can kind of walk it over to that middle spot, and then flip it over, push this down, and then walk it over to that next spot. It's just a spring bar compression. So, and then you got your double lock clasp. So you'll flip that up, and then you'll squeeze this to lift. That said, this is brushed, so if you'd ever get a nick or anything like that, use the green side of a Scotch-Brite and do single passes in one direction. If you ever have to do it in your clasp, I normally open it up, kind of hold this out by itself to where I'm not like hitting this part or this part. The case, if you would get it on the case, this is straight this way. This you just kind of do rounded. Go one direction. If you go back and forth, you start getting straight lines instead of curved. But those are the two builds. Bezels on these will turn left. They will turn right. These are tension ring bezels. They are not click style bezels. Automatic mechanical, you've got a rotor in the back, so as you're moving around, it's going back and forth and it's putting wind to your movement. But if you're not going to be very active, or just right before you put it on, you're going to want to wind it just a little bit, because unless you're like super active, it's going to stop working on you. So you're going to back the crown off the threads until you hear it and see it clicking. At that point, you can wind. And a wind is a turn clockwise or away from you. Turning it towards you doesn't wind it, but it is a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and go back and forth. If you do this for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, that mixed with your rotor movement will keep your time throughout the day. But if you're going to be driving, sitting at a desk all day, you might just sit here and go ahead and do it for another 4 or 5 seconds. When you're happy with your winding, you're going to pull it to the one and only click. You can now set your time. It does not have a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going on you. And you'll also notice you've got what's called a wobble crown. This deflects lateral pressure from going into the stem and into the movement, so when you're moving it around, it's kind of rolling with it and not putting any pressures on your keyless works or your interior movement. You can't overwind your movement. It's got a slipping mainspring, so once it gets as much as it needs, it's just deflecting at that point. Okay, Google, what time is it? 3:20. So just use your outside reference numbers here. Push it over, get it out of that time setting, and then wind it down. It's going to be the exact same on this one, except with this one, you can fingerprint this. So you just have to be a little more careful. So it is the same process. I was waiting on these bands to come in. I bet the watch is almost a week ago. 3:20. Let's go 1. So those are the two builds. As with every build, you're going to get matching beads. We did the same bead styles as we did on the first group. Special edition boxes with my plaid watch pillows in there. Both watches are going to get watch cleaner. This is a foamer that's good on all metal parts. So basically these watches as a whole. So each one's going to have that, as well as a microfiber to keep your watches looking perfectly clean. You're also going to get some fine scratch remover for both of them. These have an acrylic glass on them, and you can scratch them, but if you do, it's not a big deal. You'll use a tiny bit of this on the glass, a tiny bit, and then buff it out with your color matching microfiber. So if the scratch is up and down, just go left and right, filling it, haze it, buff it out. It should be gone. If it's still there, wait a little bit. My thing, I used to do it until I would generate a little bit of heat, and once I did that, once I could feel that I'm like really like kind of rubbing on there, Then I'd haze it. And if it's still there, just revisit it in a little bit. Wait till that solidifies because you're kind of building back up what you scratched out. And then lastly, for this watch, you're going to get Cape Cod cloth. These smell amazing, but you'll only want to cut just a tiny piece off. Directions for use on the outer tin. I have the outer tin. I buy these in groups or packs of 5, and then just include one of these. You'll just cut off a little section. It's a little pink cloth. If you ever scratch this, like get a little surface scratch, you're just going to sit there and literally go back and forth. And oddly enough, if you do that for about 1.5 to 2 minutes, it'll be gone. The scratch just goes away. It's super, super, super nice. It's like a polishing, like a buffer. So just sit there and do it. And if you think, oh man, I did this for 30 seconds and it's still there, I haven't come across, because when I buy these cases, although they're brand new, they always come to me with a little bit of like something on them. And I've always been able to get out anything using a Cape Cod cloth. So once you open it up, though, it's kind of wet. You know, it's kind of like a form of a wet wipe. So I'd throw it in a baggie, but cut off a little section. What's really weird is as you use it, it kind of turns it from pink to like black on that side, as if it's like something's dirty. And I have no idea why it does that. It does it on every single thing, and nothing is actually dirty. But that will take that scratch right off. So this one will be included with that watch. But that's how you use that. So that's it. Those are the builds. Sean, I appreciate your time for reaching out. And for those watching, if you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.